Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of JavaScript Jabber. I am Steve Edwards, the host with the face for radio and the voice for being a mime, but I'm still your host. I am flying solo today on the panel. Chuck's got an anniversary. Who knows about AJ and Dan? Busy lives. Anyway, I am here with Gilad Shoham. I believe I said that right?
Yes, totally right.
All right. Gilad is coming to us from Israel. And we are here to talk about AI and using AI to generate enterprise infrastructure, I believe. So before we get started into the topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Gilad, your dev history, and anything else you want to tell us?
Sure. So my name is Gilad Shoham. I'm VP of Engineering at Bit.Cloud. And apart from this, I'm also like a mentor for startups, for developers, for team leaders, and also I'm doing some angel investment in startups. I also have like a brand with a blog and podcast, a YouTube channel about smart homes in Hebrew, and love coding. Usually, that's what I'm doing most of my time. Transforming coffee into code.
What did you say? Coffee into code?
Yeah, but usually for me it's a bit different. Like during the day I'm transforming coffee into code, and at night I'm transforming code into coffee. So I'm connecting my writing codes that build me a coffee, that create me a coffee, and I can write more code.
Yeah, I prefer my caffeine in cold form, but yeah, I get what you need, get what you mean for sure. Okay, so tell us about Bit. What is Bit's purpose? You got bit.dev, I think, and bit.cloud, right?
Yeah. So Bit.Cloud, it's like the company. We have like a big open source called Bit. The website for the open source is bit.dev. And we are building a platform for composable software. We help organizations to improve their dev velocity, dev quality by helping them to compose applications from independent features and components, and help them to manage and share and collaborate these features and components between projects, between teams, um, by increasing reuse and collaboration and discovery of existing code. We are improving the quality and velocity. And now we are also building AI on top of this approach that we will discuss in this episode.
Okay, so a lot of that's pretty high level description of what you're doing. Sounds like something I would see in a job description or a company description. Can you give a little more detail or maybe an example of a company where you would use your tools, your bit tools, and then we can talk about AI and how AI will on top of
Yeah.
those?
Yes, sure. So usually organizations come to us when they want to increase or improve their dev methodology and dev environments. We are helping them to componentize their code base, and then help them to share and reuse components. For example, a popular use case is sharing design systems as individual components. So once you have the ability to easily create individual components and install them in different places and see history for each component individually, plus a way to find these components, to experience these components, it helps them to improve the reusability and collaboration. And we also have another project, another open source, which we are start integrating into large organizations. It's called Harmony. You can find it in our homepage as one of the most in the initial pages. And Harmony is a project that helps organizations to build features that are individual. It uses principles like inversion of control. So the platform team is building the shell application, and each product team can integrate itself to the platform. So this reduces the bottleneck from the platform team. It help the dev experience for each team. So the platform team only provides APIs, what we call usually like slots for the other teams to integrate into them. For example, this works both in frontend and backend. For example, let's say you have like a users features or users team, they will add a logo in the or like an avatar on the menu bar. They will register an icon. They will register a route in the front end that is /sign up or /login or something like this. They will register GraphQL APIs or REST APIs on the back end, and that's way each feature is integrated itself to the platform and can provide APIs for other features to integrate into it. So, for example, if I have like an e-commerce product and I have like the products teams that render a grid of products, they render the grid of products, and they can provide an API for the billing team to add the add to cart button to each card. So this button is now responsibility of the billing team, and it's integrated into the product team and not the opposite. And this helps to increase velocity and increase to scale the development, because now everything is standardized how you connect yourself to the platform, and it also helps with the deployment and making front-end and back-end as one atomic entity that is part of it. So you have like one entity, it's the feature, that it's like a manifest or like the API of your feature, and this contains both the front-end and the back-end. So now you can deploy front-end and back-end together, or roll back front-end and back-end together, which help reduce issues on runtime that derived from inconsistency between back-end and front-end, or between versions of front-end and back-end, or different features. So that's like a very high level. And on top of it, for each component, we provide a set of tools like a discovery portal, where you can see the docs, the rendering, the test results, the dependency graph, and we do version management for it. We are kind of competing with Git and GitHub. Okay. We don't use Git and GitHub internally in our company because we are doing version management for components, and we have the entire features of the entire lifecycle of each component. So we don't need Git and GitHub usually. We just bring the components we want to change into a workspace, edit them, and then throw away this workspace. And then on the cloud, we have like the search, we have CI for components, which is something unique. It's a propagating CI, which you can change one component, let's say a button. We will run the test for this button, and then we'll run the test of the card that uses this button with a virtual version of the button, and then the test for grid with a virtual version of the card with a virtual version of the button. So we can propagate the updates and test all the updates across the graph in parallel, and give you like the insights about what happens with you changing the button and how it affects any component, any dependent in the graph. So we have
so that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What you just talked about.
This is a short version of it.
Okay, so let's go back a minute. In terms of being the low-level developer, or who's thinking about tools, is this language agnostic? I mean, can your infrastructure work with any number of languages? Say, for instance, Laravel, Ruby, Node on the back end, Vue, Angular, Svelte, React on the front end. Are there specific maybe languages or frameworks that you don't support or work with? How does that work?
Okay, great question. So the core of Bit is language agnostic. However, there are many places which are language specific. For example, we know to recognize dependencies automatically from your AST, from your source code, or we know to install dependencies automatically, which are of course language specific. At the moment, we are supporting all JavaScript, TypeScript ecosystem, which means Node.js in the backend, JavaScript, Node TypeScript on the front end, all the major frameworks, React, Vue, Angular, web components frameworks like Lit and stuff like this. and of course all the other stuff of the web like HTML, CSS, and stuff like this, SAS, CSS, everything. We do have plans to support more languages, but not in the near future. I don't know when will it happen, so I cannot commit on other languages at the moment.
Okay, so so on the back end, is it just Node then? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Laravel, Ruby, any PHP based languages that's not supported?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. Okay, so that makes it a little more easier to understand in terms of components, because most any JavaScript framework structure on the front end is going to have support components by themselves, right? Or your components different than when you talk about components that you're creating a component in Bit, that's different than say a Vue single file component or a React component. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So Bit is not touching your source code. So your React component or Vue component is completely the same with or without Bit. Bit
Okay.
component is like a wrapper around it that manage all the metadata of this component. So let's say you have a React component, I don't know, a button, a card, whatever. The Bit component of this card will have different aspects of this component. So first it will have the source files, okay, maybe one file, maybe more than one file. It will have artifacts of this component, for example, the compiled files or the bundle or the package that are that you install from npm. It's part of this component as well. It will have the dependency graph. So all of your dependencies, all the tree of dependencies you have, it's also part of the Bit component, and also other metadata like description, labels, how to compile this component, like do you use TypeScript, do you use Babel, or which framework you use to test it, like Jest or Mocha or Vitest, and which configuration. So all of this metadata is also part of this component. And we take all of this metadata with the dependency graph, the source file, the artifact, and we version this. So you have a version of component with all this metadata, and each one is individual component.
Okay. So what languages does Bit use to do all this? What's under the Bit code base? Is it C? Is it C++? Is it JavaScript? Is it Node? Is it what? I would assume it's something like Node, right?
Yes.
Or is that incorrect?
So it's Node, TypeScript, and we build everything in Bit using Bit and Harmony. We are doing radical dogfooding. We are the largest user of the Bit ecosystem. We build everything with Bit components, no cutting corners, both like front end and back end, and also the CLI. Okay, the CLI as well. The CLI is open source. It's also built with Bit and with Harmony. So if you look, for example, on the main file of the Bit CLI, you will just see the Harmony manifest, which mention which features the Bit CLI have. And if you want your own version of the Bit CLI, you can just remove lines from there, and you get another composition of the Bit CLI. And that's why everything is also extensible. So you can, the same approach you can apply on Bit. So if you want a new command in Bit, you can register new command. If you want new tab in the UI, in the front end, you can register a tab for yourself in our UI. Same for our backend. So everything is built with Bit internally.
Okay, now the other thing that piqued my interest was you talked about Git and GitHub and not needing them.
Yep.
So in terms of versioning your Bit components and all that, do you have like your own version of Git written, or there's Git under the hood, you just don't need GitHub, or you just use your own UI, or how does that work?
Okay, so there is no Git under the hood at all. No Git, no GitHub, nothing related to Git, except from some general ideas about like the distributed database. But we build everything from scratch, and each component is, like I said, it's like you can think about each component is kind of like a mini repository, okay, with all the stuff that we mentioned before. And Bit allow you to edit any component or set of components from any folder. So if you are now working on a feature, let's say a header, you're bringing the components you need for these changes in the header. You will bring logo, you'll bring the search box, you will bring menu item, I don't know, and you can change them. But you don't need the code of the footer or the code of the products if you're working on a header. So you bring set of components, you put them in what we called a lane. A lane is kind of similar to Git branch in some sense, but it's like cross components. So you can think about it like a cross repo branch kind of. And then you make a change request in our cloud platform, and there you can do a review process, which is similar to GitHub, but a bit more advanced, because on GitHub you are only reviewing source code changes, and in Bit, because we have all of this, you can review and we can give you side by side the source code, of course, and also the rendered example, so you can see how the example of the button renders before and after, the documentation side by side, the testing side by side, the dependencies side by side, and then you can review all of it and merge it. And we implement this branching mechanism, merge mechanism, conflict resolution, everything from scratch.
Okay. So then it sounds like this is it almost a no code solution in terms of a non-coder can create these bit components to place wherever, or is this is still a developer tool? You said something about, you used an example of the billing department, and having worked in billing departments, usually there's not coders in there. So
Yeah.
they need some sort of drag and drop tool. Is this still just a developer tool for managing components, and then you can put it as needed, or is it like a no code tool that a non-developer could use?
Okay, so it's completely a tool for developers. It's not a no-code tool at all. It's like regular code that's written by developers, and we help them just to wiring everything, sharing it. So, for example, creating 100 packages manually is a long process, and to try to change someone else's code, if you're using like a design system component from some other team and you want to change it, it's a complicated process. If you want to search component in your organization, you have no Google inside your organization. It's complicated. So we are helping the developers to manage all these complexities, and help them not only with tech, but also with methodologies. We help you to get insight about if you're doing stuff right, and help to form, not only with tech, like how stuff should be formulated in the organization. For example, the word component, is this something related to R&D, to product, to designer? This is the question, okay? Uh, like how you name stuff, how you put boundaries, and split the organization into teams. And we help you to standardize this entire process and make it effective.
Okay, so is this all managed from you mentioned a CLI. Is this all managed from a CLI? Is there a sort of a UI for managing components and dependencies, or is it all done from the command line?
So we have a CLI that you can do all the base operation. We also have like a VS Code extension, so you don't need the CLI if you don't want to mess with the CLI. It's similar to like the Git extension for VS Code. We even like using the same tabs on the VS Code. So if you go to the version control tab that you use for Git, you will see Bit components there, for example, and you will see not only code differences, you will see dependencies differences. We can put them on inside VS Code side by side, for example. So we have the CLI, and then we have the cloud where we host your component, and then you can see for each component, you can see the documentation, you can see example and how it rendered if it's a UI component. You can see the test, you can see a visual graph of all your dependencies and dependents, and filter it by teams or by levels or stuff like this.
Okay. Now, you mentioned your VS Code extension. Do you have extensions for other tools like IntelliSense,
Not at the moment.
WebStorm, PHP? Okay.
Not at the moment. It's on our roadmap, but we are a small startup working on this for like almost 10 years right now. But since we are still a small team, then right now VS Code only.
Okay. All right. I know as an IntelliSense user, I can say we are almost always discriminated against. It's those VS Code users that always get the first plugins
Yes.
and stuff, but
We
that's okay. We're used to
we
it.
do have a feature which called Cloud Workspace, which allow you to edit any component from the cloud. It's like opening like a VS Code on the cloud, but this is like a real VS Code. So you have like a Docker container behind it, so you can develop like Node.js or backend stuff from the browser as
Oh,
well.
okay.
But it's also like a VS Code on the browser. So if you use to IntelliSense or something like other shortcuts, and you need to set it up.
Okay, so let's say, so you've got your bit component created, of a header or a button or something like that you're using. Um, I don't know if this is something we can go into detail about, but how is that implemented into my actual Vue app or my React app or so on? Is this is like an import statement,
Yeah.
in a component, import this, but you're importing your bit component that and has everything with it, or how is that implemented in your application?
So behind the scene, Bit transforms any component you have into a regular npm package. So you can just install it, even without installing Bit. You can just install it with npm like any other package from npm.js. Um, and if you have if you create a workspace, a Bit workspace, you can bring all the components or any components you want, and Bit will know to kind of symlink it to the package name behind the scene. So you have like you can change the source code, and it will reflect into your consumer components that uses it from the node modules, similar to like monorepo tools like NX or something like this. Bit will do the wiring from the node modules to your source code if you are on an editing mode.
Okay, but you're not using the main npm repository, right? This is using your own bit
Uh,
repository. You're just using the
so
npm tool.
So we have like our registry on the cloud that you can use, or you can use npm.js or Artifactory. We have guides for it. We don't care if you are hosting the packages on our registry or other registry. You can definitely do this. And behind the scene for client and installation and everything, we are using PNPM. Zoltan, the creator of PNPM, is part of the company. Is full-time employee
Oh,
in Bit, and
oh, okay.
so we are kind of maintaining PNPM as well as a company. Yeah, so we have Zoltan from PNPM, and we have JJ, who was part of the Vue.js core team, working on all the Vue integration. And we have Olivier, which was part of the Angular core team, working on all the Angular integration.
Hmm.
So we have like kind of a nice team here.
Wow, some heavy hitters. Okay. Excuse me. Now, in terms of hosting, before we move into the AI, so is this something you can self-host if you want to self-host Bit, or you can host in the Bit.Cloud? Is that correct?
So we have like the SaaS product, and we also have we offer different ways to host like the remote server. So either our SaaS platform, we have a way to manage a dedicated server for you as a company, and we have like a full on-prem solution. And also we have like part of our open source is a simplified version of the hosting platform, so you can even do self-host without Bit.Cloud, and host like a remote Bit server, so you can export components into it and see them. But this will not have like many features like the AI, the cloud workspace, the CI that we described before, permission stuff like all the enterprise feature like SSO permissions are not part of the open source. But there are companies who are doing self-host, and that's enough for them.
Okay. All right. So that's the platform as a whole. So let's talk about AI. So
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, so you've got your base platform that we just talked about. That's installed. So now you're adding AI on top of that, or integrating AI into it as a sort of a second phase. Is that correct?
Yes. So basically, if you look on all the AI tools today for developers, okay, all AI in this context are AI for code generation. I'm not talking about image generation, video generation, but all AI tools today are um, are splitting into kind of, let's say, two families. Okay, if you think about like, let's draw kind of a chart, a simple chart, and I know this is like voice only, but it's an easy one, which we have like, let's say on the y-axis we have the code base size. Okay, small code base or large code base. In this large here, I'm talking about like not Google large. Okay, even like a small startup, like 3-4 developers working for a year, it's kind of large, or like company code base. And on the x-axis, you have like the complexity of the task you ask from the AI, from a small snippet like a function to build me a real feature on the right side. So all AI today are either good in each on one of these axes. So you can either use tools like, I don't know, Lovable, Bolt, Windsurf, many of them. Probably during our sessions there will be a new one, which can help you build a full project from a prompt. If it's like, a POC, a side project you build in the weekend, and the AI will do pretty good job building this initial version for you for a hobby project. On the other side, we have tools that are more for organization or existing code bases, which are help you, like Cursor or GitHub Copilot, which help you to do some autocomplete or snippets for existing code base, which is great. Okay, it's increased productivity, it saves time from Googling and copy paste from Stack Overflow, which is amazing. But what we really want to do, and no AI can do today, is build real features for real code base, for organization code base. If you're trying to take now your product, no matter which company you are working on, and you will ask Copilot, add an analytics features to my product, it will not work at all. Like you cannot, there is no even point to try it because it's not there yet. And the reason it's not there yet, it's because we are looking at AI and we are asking AI, we are using AI in the wrong way, not using by the end user, using by the AI developers, like the people who develop these tools. We are doing it, I think, in the wrong way. We are trying to teach the AI to read code and ask it to write code. It's like, to read books, but do you know to write a bestseller? Probably no. It's different stuff. And we think that we need to change, and instead of asking the AI to write code, we need to ask the AI to play Lego. Okay, not just a general Lego. You need to play your Lego bricks. It needs to do composition instead of generation. Generation of code is just the last step in the process of building software, right? We are not getting paid by writing lines of code, right? No developers getting more money if he writes more lines of code. Like even the opposite usually. Our task is not to build code, to write code. Our task is to build features for our software. And with AI, we kind of moving backward. We are asking it to just write code every time from a clean slate. So what happens is that the AI is duplicating code again and again. You ask it for something today, it will generate a button. Tomorrow you ask something else, it will generate another button. And the day after. So if you do it for some time, you will get such inflation in your code base that you cannot maintain it anymore as a human developer, because it will grow from, I don't know, 10,000 lines of code to 1,000,000 lines of code if you just do it for a month with few developers. And this is one of the major blockers from really making AI usable for organizations, enterprises, because of this. And what we are doing is we are changing it from the base. We are giving the AI your dependency graph. Like I said, we have bit components, we have the graph, we have the relationship in a structured way. And we ask the AI, when you ask our AI to build a feature, his task internally is to see and which nodes in the graph he needs to add or to modify or to reuse in order to implement this feature. So it's all the time work and prioritizing reuse other than generation. Okay. So for example, if we take an example flow of how it looks like, let's say you ask for AI to generate a header. Okay, I need a new header for my company. What will happen is that AI will go to the graph, search for header. It will not find any header. We will ask the AI to generate a potential dependency graph of header. Okay, stuff like logo, avatar, search box, menu. Okay, and then the AI will recursively do the same. It will go and search for logo. If it found it, it will use it. If it found it and it need modification, like a new API to be in the context of header, it will add a new API to the existing logo or to existing search box. If it cannot find it, let's say it didn't find search box, it will again build a virtual graph of search box, will understand that search box is built from, I don't know, an input and a button, and then it will search for input and a button in your company and will use them. Once you use them or generate them, it will move up one level above, and now we can generate the search box from the input and the button. And then after we get all the dependencies of the header, it will generate the header from all of this. And this concept implement few very important principles in order to make AI work for enterprises. Okay, so
okay, so let's step back for a minute. So I think I understand what you're saying in that, even for a developer coming into a new application, you can't just say, okay, day one, okay, go write this feature without understanding the underlying application, right? You got to know how it's built, how it's worked. You can have a view component, but you could have a bazillion different ways that your view component is written, right? You need to know how your app uses it, how your company uses it. So that leads me to this question. Does Bit have to be implemented from the beginning of your application? In other words, could I have a large view application that uses, say, Node on the back end? It's been up and running for a while, and then can I implement Bit on top of that? Will that work? Or does Bit need to be part of the structure, part of the process from the very beginning in order for it to work efficiently?
Okay, so of course, if you already have Bit components, it will be much easier for the AI to do this because it can find and reuse what you have. Unfortunately, most organizations have large code bases which don't use Bit at the moment because they started a long time ago, whatever. So usually what we see is like a kind of a gradual process. So you ask AI to build the new features tomorrow, and as part of it, the AI will create reusable components because the AI will create it will not just put tons of code that implement an analytics dashboard. If you ask it for analytics dashboard, it will create components for a line chart and components for bar chart and components for card that render a chart and components for grid of cards. You will get 50 components as a result of this prompt. And these components are reusable components. So now you can take these components and install them on your existing code base. And then you can start removing your not componentized code base, and you can modernize its architecture. We are always thinking about how to architect the features and the relationship between the components. And then you can also use this AI output to kind of eating the legacy piece by piece. Tomorrow you will have another feature. You will get it will recognize the 50 components from yesterday. It will generate 20 new ones, and then you can use them in the legacy. So after some time, your existing code base will become modular. Okay, so even regardless of the AI, okay, even if you at this point you're just not using the AI anymore, your code base is now much more modular and much more clear to understand, much more clear and easy to extend and maintain, because there are clear components and boundaries that composing your application.
Okay, so if I'm an existing large enterprise application, right, and I bring in, and I've been around for 2 or 3 years, 10 years, whatever, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to implement Bit. So that's a manual process to go through and generate all your Bit components. It's not something that Bit does automatically, right? You need to go, okay, I need to create a Bit component for this, and a Bit component for this, and a Bit component for this. Is that right?
Yes, so we know to help organizations, especially large organizations, to do this process with us together and help them to like Bit have like internal tools to kind of speeding it up. Not AI tools at the moment that doing it, but for example, Bit knows to take like a folder which like 20 subfolders, and in one line can make them 20 components. Okay, so of
Mm-hmm.
course it depends on how your existing project is structured at the moment, but you can do this migration. It's not that long to do sometimes. And I believe soon we will start working on some AI features that will help you take existing code base and kind of
Mm-hmm.
componentize it. This is something that we don't yet provide at the moment, but we do help and we do this process of componentizing um, projects with many organizations, very large organizations, even before AI starts and AI going into the mix, because there is a lot of value of doing it regardless of AI. So
Mm-hmm.
um, we are already doing it for many organizations.
Yeah, that would, considering that, like you said, you have to build a structure from the ground up, it would seem like that would be the primary benefit of AI, is to be able to componentize your existing application, right? So that you have Bit components, right? And then from there, once it's componentized and AI has that information stored, then you can use it to start generating new features because it has the knowledge of your code base, right?
Exactly. Then if you start from scratch now with AI that knows to build correct architecture, then you kind of flipping the equation. So if you're using most tools AI today, you will get like the inflation effect that we discussed. Like you will get
Mm-hmm.
duplications again and again. You'll get after a week you will have 50 buttons. What will happen with our AI is that you are building these Lego pieces again and again. So the AI in a week from now will be much more powerful because you have already a week, like kind of compounding effect, like a Fibonacci. AI
Mm-hmm.
today is equal the AI yesterday plus the AI 2 days ago because it uses
Mm-hmm.
the components from yesterday and 2 days ago. So now it can build better feature and faster because it's already have the Lego bricks. So like as a human developer, okay, if you have a good building blocks as a human developers and you need to build a new feature, you will do it quickly. And the AI will do the same. It's not only about building, it's also about like the quality. So for example, AI today is one of the main issues is the code quality. Like AI needs to write tests, but it puts like you ask for a feature, it wrote you 10 like 1,000 lines of code, and how you can test it. It's hard task for a human, also for AI. But if you take this and break it into 50 components, each one is small, it's focused, it's reusable, and then you ask the AI to build tests for each one of these, it will do much better job because it's much easier for human and for AI to write tests for small component. Um, then when you combine this also with like the Bit infrastructures and the Bit CI, which knows uh, to to add metadata and to standardize this build pipeline for each component individually, then eventually what you get, and this is not fully fully implemented at the moment, like partially yet, but will be soon. Think about this. Today you are getting code from the AI. You get a prompt, AI give you tons of code. Now what you're doing, okay? Like after the LLM part, you have like a very long manual process of integration. You need to rename it, you need to put it and move stuff around, and then you need to start review it and start testing it. You need to make, I don't know, a pull request. So it depends on like on your existing CI and tooling, which are not part of the AI. But tomorrow, what you can do is AI generate components. It write tests for each component. We have the power to run the test for all these components in parallel, see the issues, gives them back to the AI. AI will fix them, will run them again. It runs fast because it's parallelize everything. And then the linting configuration or the formatting configuration is also part of the metadata. So AI is started doing review to itself, getting issues, fix them, getting issues, fix them. And when you, as a human, get the code, it's already being reviewed by the AI and fixed 5 times. So now the path from this point to use it, it's much easier. It's already in much better quality than today because of this process.
Okay. I would imagine you'd still want a human to review it, though. I mean,
Yes,
AI is only effective as how well it's created. Good stuff in, good stuff out, garbage in, garbage out. So I know my tendencies as someone who does a lot of DevOps stuff would be I'd want to be eyeballing it as a human, have a human look at it first before it's actually deployed. But I would assume that's, you could easily implement that as part of your process, correct?
yes. So for sure, you still need a human approval and review, for sure. But the question is how how long this human needs to like how much work it needs to do. Like he gets like a 50%, or he gets like 80% or 90%. Okay, it's a big difference. And we are trying, we are not at 100%. Probably will not be there anytime soon. But we
100% what in terms of test coverage, you mean, or quality, or
no,
what?
like 100%, like that's you can take the code for the AI and not doing a review at all
Okay.
because it's like perfect. We're not
Confidence,
there.
100% confidence, right? Okay.
Yes. Okay. So most AI todays give you like I don't know 50%, and we are trying to give you like 90%. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot of time and a lot of effort to save. And another thing that you described, and it's important and interesting, is like garbage in, garbage out. Okay, part of the main issues of how AI generating code and the quality of the code, even before like writing tests and everything, is like what you give the AI as an input. Okay, and let's talk about like let's say 3 main principles of how the AI, what the AI get as an input and how it uses it. So the first principle is that we want AI to get an input a higher level of structure, okay, like a composite instead of atom. AI today's work with tokens, right? They get like English or language tokens. It can be like the word if or like for, and it knows like is it equal signs or stuff like this. But as a human, we don't read the code like this. We have boundaries, right? We are working with higher structure. We are working with business parts, with features, with product boundaries. Okay, if we take an example from, let's say, you're looking on a map. Okay, if AI look on this map, you see like I don't know pixels or mountains and sand and water. If you look on a map, you see countries, right? You see this is Spain. You know that Spain has like different characters, and you see French, and you see like countries, and each country has like meaning with it. Okay, and this true not only for code generation, for even for architecture, right? We have like templates that we combine together to build like bigger structure. And we want the AI to understand not tokens, but to get components with meaning instead of tokens. And this is the first principle is like component is better than tokens. Okay. The second is what the AI can see, which component or which part of the code base it can see. For example, the when we are developers, let's think about like an architect or like a very productive developers in the company. Okay, anyone knows someone like this? Someone who is smart as general, who is very good on the tech, on the specific tech stack, who is like I don't know a great Vue developer, a great Node.js developer, whatever. And the AI, by the way, is smart and knows pretty much any framework better than any human. Okay, but these developers also have like a big advantage that he knows all the code base in and out. He's been there from day one. When he's trying to build a feature, then he thinks about different stuff like what can I use, where is it, who can I discuss about how to use it, and he's focusing like on the import statement, and he see the entire picture. He can go and open another repository, okay, or the backend repository. He can open like the design system repository. But what we do with AI is we give it a very small context. And why we give it a small context? Because of different stuff. One is the window size. Okay, we have technical limitation with AI about how many code you can read. This is one issue, and it's improved all the time. Okay. The second issue is its availability. Okay, maybe tomorrow AI can read like a full repo, but what if our implementation is on different repo? We have a front-end repo and a backend repo. AI now need to build a feature on the front end that uses the backend API. Even if you can read the entire repo of the front end, the backend is a different place. You cannot read it. You cannot read the design system repo. So the availability is also a problem. What we want to do is to give the AI like holistic visibility. We want to give the AI the power to see the entire code base. And the way we do it is we are taking these components, no matter which repositories they are coming from, we model them as a graph. So we have the nodes, which is components with the metadata, and we don't even need the implementation. We will discuss it in a second. And we have metadata on the relationship, like which API this component is using from a different component, how they are connected. It's a dev dependency, it's a runtime dependency, whatever. And we want to give the AI this full picture and not only like asking him to look under the lamp. Because even if you know to reuse, if you don't have access to read this relevant code base, you will not know how to reuse. This is like the second principle is like holistic is better than local. Okay, we want to give the AI a holistic view. And the third principle is we have this race on about like increasing the window size of the context. Make it bigger. Great. But we all know that if you put more context, which is bad context, you get worse results, right? We don't want to give the AI all the context in the world because it will confuse them. We want to give him only the relevant and most important part. So the principle is about accurate context is better than bigger context, okay? And what we do is we have this graph, for example, and then we ask the AI to make a virtual graph or potential graph, and then we go to the graph, and before the AI is not talking directly to the graph, is going through a semantic search, and this semantic search is looking for these specific components that might be related and give only these components to the AI as like an input so we can read this API. And it also don't contain the implementation, because all the implementation of component, when you try to build a new component, you don't care about the implementation of the component you are using, right? You only care about what it does, the description, and the API, like what is the public API of this component. If I give the AI all the for and if statement inside of it, of the entire code base, first I will get the context window size issues. And second, I will just put a lot of not relevant information for him. So what we do, we provide the AI only with the signatures, with the description, with the labels, for example. So then we can give the AI much better, and we filter it to only the relevant component. So we give the AI an holistic view of everything it needs, but only the necessary information of each of it. So the results you get are much higher quality.
Yes, I think you can shorten that to quality over quantity, right? You only want the good stuff and not everything. Okay, so last question, at least that I can think of, is your LLM, your models that you're using. What are you using? Do you have your own LLMs? Are you using ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 01 or Claude, or what are you using for your LLM models?
Yes, so first we don't have our own LLM, our own model. We are using, at the moment, we're using Gemini 2, but we're playing with it, so we're changing it and test different models. What's interesting is that if you give the AIs today, all the models today, the correct and small task, they are doing a great job. Any of them. If you are asking any of the models, no matter which one of them, to build a card component in React or in Vue, they will do great job today. The problem is that we don't want to ask them to build the car. We want them to build the feature. So what we do is we are breaking it kind of like an agent method. It's an engineering problem, not an AI problem even. We're asking the AI, what components do you need? Then for each one of these components, we're doing some manipulations, and then we separate it. Like if you put one prompt asking for an application in our AI, behind the scene, we will probably send like 400 prompts or something like this behind one prompt of yours, because we are splitting it, and then we are splitting it again. And then for each component, we are asking to build a component, to describe the responsibility, and then to write tests for this component specifically. And then even with the existing AI today, the existing LLMs, we get really, really good components. A component that probably built better than many human developers will do. And then you can use them by AI or by developers tomorrow, or combination of both of them, probably.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. All right, so before we move on to picks, is there anything else you wanted to cover regarding Bit or AI that you wanted to talk about?
Just want to share that this AI is getting into preview version few days ago. At the moment we're recording today, it's March 10. I'm not sure when will it be released, but it's pretty new. Probably it will be still pretty new when you try it. So feel free to try it. It's like just go to Bit.Cloud and you can write a prompt. Keep in mind that this is a different type of AI, like the difference between writing a question to GPT or to deep search, to deep research, which take an hour. It's the same with our AI. It's breaking the problems, sending a lot of prompts. It takes some time, so don't expect like a bolt experience of after 20 seconds you get something running. It's much bigger, and keep in mind that in return you get like a platform that is enterprise ready. It builds a real backend, by the way. It's not like connecting to Superbase or something like this, like a backend for frontend. It's building also backend, like real microservices, real Express or GraphQL microservices. It gives you test and connect everything together. But it of course takes some time to generate, and it's probably won't work out of the box on the first try. So you get like, I don't know, 70 components. Some of them will have some issues that you will probably need to ask AI to fix or manual fix them. But after this process of 1 hour of generation and 1 or 2 hours of fixing, you get something that is really ready for scale and for use in real organization. So just like expectation about what you get and how it works, and don't expect the same, because it's not the same as other tools.
All right. All right, so we've mentioned Bit.Cloud and Bit.dev as the websites to get more information. Is there any other channels like X, Twitter, Blue Sky, anything else that people can follow you?
Yeah, so first, if you want to follow me or talking to me directly, just go to Gilad.dev, Gilad, Gilad.dev. It's my personal website. You can find many podcasts and talks and whatever, and all the socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, that you can reach out to me if you want. If you go to Bit.Cloud, you'll find all the socials of the company and our Slack community Slack, that you can reach out to our team and then talk to us if you have any question and stuff like this. Everything you can find on Bit.Cloud or Bit.dev. Find all the communication channel with Bit. Yeah,
All righty. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for coming and enlightening us about Bit and AI. Sounds like quite the tool for managing an enterprise size app. I work in one every day, so I can appreciate how nice that would be to have something like that. All right, so we'll move on to picks. Picks are the part of the show where we get to talk about anything we want to talk about. I'll go first, and I don't really have anything other off topic other than I'm in Arizona and I'm loving the warmth and sunshine as compared to my Oregon where it's a little cooler and rainier. So I'll do that for my pick of the day, visiting my parents, and then we'll move on to the dad jokes of the week.
Yeah.
To my mind, the high point of any podcast episode, but I might be alone in thinking that. So, start out. So, I went and see my doctor the other day, and he only gave me 6 months to live. So, I shot him, and the judge gave me 20 years.
Nice.
The other day, a detective showed up my door and asked me where I was between 5 and 6. I said, well, I was probably at school. 5 and 6 years of age, right?
Yeah.
And then, did you know, I love cow jokes. Did you know that cows kill more people than sharks? But I'm surprised that cows kill any sharks at all. All right. Ooh, a little double whammy there. Double whammy.
Nice.
All right, those are the dad jokes of the week. Gilad, do you have any picks for us?
Yes, actually, I want to I don't know the word in English, but to pick a kind of competitor to us. It's a new tool from an Israeli guy. It's called Base 44, and you can try it. Like just Google Base 44, like the number. And this is like a kind of a competitor to Bolt and Lovable and everything, which is great if you're doing like a side project, a weekend project, and it can build you also like kind of taking the authentication and some other aspects of the application right away from your prompt. And this is built by one guy from Israel. So he's like a great. It's great to see like someone alone today is kind of competing with all these giants that raise tons of money, and you have like large teams, and he's like building this like as a side project for I don't know few months. Started like a few months ago, and seeing really good results. So if you're doing like a side project or something, you should try it. If you are trying to use AI for enterprises, probably use our tool. But is really great and deserve like all the respect of building it like alone, and also like a national proud of his tool. So
Yeah, it looks like it's not necessarily in your space. I've heard of some tools like this. Looks pretty interesting, especially looking at the website. It's really pretty. But one person doing that's pretty amazing. So it's base44, the digits 44.com.
yeah.
Right. All righty. Well, thank you, Gilad, for coming and talking to us today. Great to hear about what you got going on. And thanks everybody for watching, listening, and we'll talk to you next time on JavaScript Jabber.